Hello, guys. How are you today? Dummer is here, and in this first episode of Faith and Mission, I'll be talking with Katie Washington. She was serving as a missionary in Malawi last year, and we're gonna talk about her experience as a missionary. Hope you enjoy it. So, guys, Katie is actually my housemate. So yeah, we are 3 meters apart, and she was serving as a missionary for almost a year in Malawi, which is really exciting. And today we're gonna talk more about that. But first, can you give me some of your background story so people can get to know you better?
I'm Katie, from Canterbury, lived there most of my life, then moved to Leicester for uni, studied geography, and then I'm still part of Holy Trinity Church since then. Did the internship with students, which is obviously how we met. And then after that, I went to Malawi it ended up being 7 months. It was meant to be longer, but I had to come home because of COVID. That's me.
So, peeps, I got to know Katie during my internship in Holy Trinity. I was doing the worship internship, if that's how you say. She was doing the student one with Lois, so it was incredible. It was a great year. So, Kate, how was like the overall experience of being in Malawi, such a different country and culture, like really, really hard, like different people. So tell us, like, how did you feel when like you arrived there and you saw that everything was different?
It was like a bit of a shock. I think I just didn't know what to expect when I went. I don't know, like I think I was quite unprepared, and I didn't really know what to expect. Partly just because I didn't have loads of communication before I went. But I was really excited to go. Like I got there after a really long flight, drove back and just kind of saw like the amazing country that is Malawi on the way back. It was a shock. It was like everything was so different. People were speaking another language. The weather was amazing. Loved that. It was like took some adjusting, but I loved it. Like I think I loved it straight away.
And why did you decide to go on a mission trip? I remember when I met you, you were supposed to go to Malawi the year you were doing an internship in Leicester, but you didn't go. So why did you decide to go after that?
So, I went on a short-term mission trip just for a month before uni to South Africa. That was with Tear Fund. And then kind of felt God say all the way through uni, like kind of little nudges like towards mission trips and stuff. And I was meant
nuggets?
to what?
Like little nuggets, and I was trying to be funny and I said little nuggets. Sorry, going.
Nuggets. So I was like gonna go, and then oh my goodness, I can't even remember fully what happened. Basically, like God just kind of switched things around really suddenly. With their plans out there in Malawi, and then like a new opportunity came up for me on the same day, and I really just felt really strongly that I was meant to stay in Leicester and do the internship, which was such an amazing year. Definitely needed it. Definitely prepared me for Malawi. I can't imagine like what would have happened if I'd gone the year before. And then I still felt like it was something that I had been planning to do and wanted to do, so I still went the year after.
It's interesting because, like, we often, how can I say that in English? We often, like, just ignore these kind of feelings and impressions we have when God speak to us about something, like small things and big things. I remember when I was moving to UK, God didn't, like, show up, like, got an angel to come to my room or through prophetic words. Like, it was as simple as I knew that I knew that I knew that I needed to come. So I obeyed God and I came. So how was the process for you of like recognizing the voice of God and just going for it, even though you didn't have 100% like the assurance that actually was God speaking to you, but you just felt that it was. How was that process for you?
Yeah, it was definitely not like a clear voice. I think for a while I was waiting for that, because I think you hear like all these stories. I'd read books of people and they knew like exactly where to go, and I think it was sometimes tough because I felt like I wanted to, and I felt like God was like nudging me in like just random ways, and I was like, oh, I want to do it. And then I had a lot of times where I was like, oh, but maybe not, because he hasn't said anything that clear. But in the end I was like, well, what can I lose from going? It's just for like, less than a year. It's a good thing to do. I couldn't really see any negatives about it, so I was like, well, I'll still go. I do feel like God's saying it. And I think like sometimes when God says stuff, we can think of all the reasons why he couldn't, and then we can use them to persuade ourselves to not go, or like convince ourselves that it's not him. um but I think with this it was like, well, I think that he did tell me, so I just need to take a step. And I spoke to like my vicar about it, and he was like, yeah, it does sound like God saying that. So in the end, even though I wasn't like 100% sure, I was like, well, I just need to go. I'll be obedient and see what happens.
Because simple obedience changes history. Oh, take that! Drop the mic. But yeah, like it's really cool because one thing I notice about when God speaks to us is that like we want to do it, but sometimes make excuses. But most of the time, like if you want to do something like that, like drastic, like going on a mission trip, doing something like crazy, it's very important that you talk to people like your parents, your vicar, your leaders, so you can make sure you're going to the right direction and you have the blessing as well. Because if you have that blessing, like you can make sure everything goes well. So tell me more about what you did, like your work in Malawi.
Yeah, so I went with an organization which I'd never heard of. It's called Action International Ministries, and it was their like base in Malawi. It was quite small, like very random how I found it, to be honest. But what I was doing was quite small like things in nearby villages. So I stayed in a place called Cheu um, in Malawi, and we stayed in the town, and there were like loads of villages around. So we did things like women's groups. I started up 2 youth groups. I did some other things with youth, kids groups, home visits in people's houses, and then one kind of main thing that was set out by the directors out there is a feeding program. So it kind of basically supports the most vulnerable people, like the orphans and the widows, because the orphans, in their culture, the orphans go to live with the widows. So anyway, we were doing stuff with them, helping them, kind of giving out food for like 2,000 people, 3 times a week. That was like a chunk of it. But I think the main thing that I was focused on was the youth groups, which was like my thing and was really cool.
Tell me about the Bibles you bought for them, because is it normal that they have Bibles there? How's the Christian thing? Like how do they get teaching and stuff like that?
So in Malawi, it is a Christian country. Most people are Christians, but there's quite a lack of teaching. A lot of the pastors there have never had any teaching. Being a pastor out there for a lot of people is quite like an authority kind of thing. They want to be a pastor maybe because they have power over people, and
Mm.
it's kind of tricky sometimes. And a lot of them haven't had any teaching, like some don't even have Bibles, so the stuff that they teach sometimes is really not great. So one thing that's set up out there is a Bible school, which I got to be a part of, which was really cool, but that, like, I didn't really help lead that. But yeah, most people, because Malawi is such a poor country, a lot of people don't have Bibles. So yeah, as I said, including pastors. So when I started the youth group, I really wanted to teach them on the Bible, because I knew that was something that a lot of them wouldn't have. And obviously it's so important to actually know what the Bible says and the truths of it instead of things that are not really quite the truth. So I did Bible teaching and ended up getting all of them Bibles. I kind of set up a fund from back home and just was like, guys, like I have a youth group in Malawi, do you want to help me buy Bibles for them? And then it wasn't really expensive. It was like £6 per Bible. So got loads of those and went to the big city, came back with them and gave them out, which was just like such a joy. It was like the best thing ever. So that was really fun, really fun.
Is there any like really funny story you can tell us about that time?
I have a lot. It's funny like how just some things are so normal in some cultures in some places, and for us it's like not. So basically everyone travels by minibus there, and you get these like, I don't know, I think they get a minibus and then they kind of redo it and like put their own benches and stuff to get as many people in as possible. And they cram so many people into those minibuses. It's insane. Like a small minibus, they'll have like 20 something people, like people on people's laps, like, and there'll be like chickens in there and some like other animals in there, like turkeys or something, shoved with people. And there was this one time, there was like a lot of funny times in the minibuses, but there was this one time I was traveling and it was quite dark and like everyone was, it was very packed, this one. And there was like the conductor of the minibus, the one who kind of takes the money and lets people on, was kind of next to me, but he didn't have a seat, so he was like perching like this and he was behind me. And like after, like it was quite a long journey, so it was maybe after an hour, I just felt like this, like it was like his head was just kept leaning on my shoulder and I would turn around and his head was just there. It was so funny, like I didn't really know what to do, but it was just really funny.
You knew what to do because you took a picture and the picture is here.
Yeah, I had to take a photo. How can you not? It was really funny. But like, yeah, it was a very interesting, that was a very interesting experience. Had many interesting experiences on those
And
minibuses.
would you say that changed your life? Would you say like that going on a mission trip was like something that really opened your eyes for other realities and yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think like when you go somewhere like that, your whole perspective changes. You see a completely different way of living and you see the good parts of it and the bad parts of it. And it makes you think about like our culture here, the things that we take for granted, the things that we care too much about. And like, oh, I just met so many amazing people there. So I think I've just learned a lot from them. And the community culture out there is just so strong and it's amazing. I love it. And I think I learned a lot about mission because I didn't really know much about it before. I think I learned of how mission trips can be quite damaging to communities out there, and how you can do it well and how you can really support people and how it's important to work alongside people out there because, you know, like they have so many amazing leaders out there and they're way better at evangelism than we could ever be because they know the culture. So I think I learned about how we can support missionaries, like local missionaries out there, instead of just going there and thinking, oh, this is how we should do it and doing it our way and not listening to them. So I think going there was really cool because I worked alongside local people like my friend Ntinga and Esme. They were just amazing and we did things alongside them and learned so much from them about how to do mission in a culture like that. So I think that's something that like is really important that I've learned that I'll definitely take with me if I go anywhere else. Yeah.
Would you recommend someone to go on a mission trip and why would you recommend it? Like, why do you think it's important?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're thinking about it and you think God's saying do it, like definitely go for it. Definitely pray about it. Make sure that that's the right thing for you. Pray loads about where you should go and what organization to go with. I think it's really important. I think I wasn't maybe as prepared as I could have been, and didn't maybe focus enough on that. But I would say, yeah, definitely go. It's such a cool thing to do. You'll learn so much from the other culture. And yeah, just go and be willing to serve people, not to kind of force your ideas on people, but to learn from their culture and do things their way, and give what you can. I think you can't go expecting that you're going to like have a life-changing experience for every person, but going there will impact people, and it can change a few people's lives. Like I really hope that what I was able to do out there and teaching those people and giving them those Bibles, I hope that that's had a positive impact on their life. And like for me, I learned so much from it. So I would say, yeah, like definitely go. Yeah, go for it.
Amazing. May, thank you so much for talking to me about this. I think this will open people's eyes a lot about what they should do, what they shouldn't do, how they can prepare themselves, but especially how to step out and just go for it. Because I think that some, like, of course, now with COVID, things are like quite slow about it, but I think that we need to do the most we can when we are young, and to serve God with everything we have, because then when you get married, you have kids, and then like things get more difficult. But like when you're young, do like everything you can to serve the kingdom of God, because this will definitely be life changing, and you have an amazing story to like just tell your kids and your grandkids and whatever. But if you're old and you're watching this and your heart is like on fire for missions and etc., please pray and just ask God what he wants you to do, and just go for it, because it's never too late in the kingdom of God. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more about Katie's life, just go on Instagram, Katie Washington. She's there. And that's it. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. I don't think I can say this. Maybe I can. I'm not sure. But here you go. Stay in peace, people, and take care. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.